seems to me like you walked this fine line, this balance. You had homeboys in the street doing what they was doing, making all of this money. Now you could have easily saw what they were doing and went down that path to make money. But then you had this other side where you were an actual academic student. You're in school, you're getting the grades, you know exactly what you want to do. You started playing sports. Is that correct?
Well, and you made a lot of it. Like the saying is true. It takes a community to raise a child, or it takes a village to raise a child. The people around me wouldn't allow me to do those things. Yeah, they're my homeboys. Yeah, they're my brothers. But nah, Jeff, you too fast. You too good at sports, bro. Get out of here. You're not going.
You know, that's an interesting conversation because I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were saying the what we call OGs. You know, can't say, oh, that's my OG. That's my you know. It can stand for different things, but a lot of times we say that's the elder, the older person, like the big bro. That's like the big brother figure, the mentor type figure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
the older generation was kind of. I applaud. Let me just start by saying I applaud the government. The scheme that they have put into place started in the 70s. It incarcerated black man, split the family, and make them repeat the cycle over and over again. They did it beautifully.
The plan is working, is what you're saying.
100% working. They set us up and we fell for it.
Season 2 of Gentlemen's History Hour is sponsored by HughRepublic.com. HUERepublic.com. Go to HughRepublic.com and get the latest colors to rep your hue. Gentlemen's History Hour, Season 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is GHH Equality. This is GHH Sessions Equality. We got a very, very special guest today. We're going to talk to Jeff McCulloch. He's a former student athlete. He played football at the University of Texas at Austin. We're going to talk about investing. We're going to talk about breaking the stereotypes of athletes and money. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Jeff McCulloch. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? Glad y'all have me on the show.
Yeah. Hey, if it's anything I left out in that intro, man, fill the people in.
Man, you know, the bio online, it says athlete, but we're much more than that outside the frame.
Understood.
Wikipedia says athlete, but in real life, we're real entrepreneurs, man.
Gotcha. So with GHH Sessions, it's Gentlemen's History Hour session. So you're the gentleman. First, I want you to give us your history, and then we'll delve into what this session is going to be about. So first, just what's your personal history, man?
Oh man, depends on how far you want me to go back here.
Let's go back to where you from. Where you born at? Born and raised.
In Texas, man. You already know.
Okay, A-Sound. What side A-Sound?
Greens Point, man. Northwest.
Okay, North side. All right. Yeah. Hey, I'm North side. So hey, okay, we got a common bond off the rip. So yes, you played football and did you go to Aldine High School?
No, God, no.
MacArthur or
don't lump me in that. I went to D. Benjamin Davis High School.
Okay. Played football there?
Of course. Played 4 years. We didn't have a varsity when I first started, so I didn't get the 4-year varsity.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was a brand new school. So I think I was on varsity 3 years. I think we got our second third year. Whenever varsity went active, that's when we joined.
And so from there, you end up playing ball at the University of Texas at Austin. How was that experience? Just was it a cultural shock? I don't know the makeup of your high school, but was it a cultural shock?
Where I'm coming from is called Guns Point, man. So
I understood. Yeah, like for the people that's watching and that's listening, see, it's people that's not familiar with Houston. So when we say Greens Point and you say Guns Point, that'll let people know. Yeah,
it gets real. You see a lot of things going up out there, man. It's really what brought me into the investing realm. I saw a lot of my friends with 12, 13, 14 years old, sneaking drugs in through the locker room, selling at school, carrying little 20 revolvers around in their backpack. I had homeboys. We would be at track practice and we're watching the road for this one specific person, this one car, because we know if we see it, what time it is. He's running to his bag over on the side. It could be a bad day out there, man.
Yeah. That side of town, man, was notorious for jacking people for Jordans when they came out at Greens Point Mall back in the day. So, yeah.
My dad used to walk out. If we went and got up there, like when we went and got the Concourse, my dad would walk back out with his pistol in hand because you knew what time it was when we got in the parking lot.
Hey, so we giving the people some context on the environment that you grew up around. So making that journey, man, leaving Guns Point, aka Greens Point, and going all the way to Austin, man, going to UT. What did that look like for you?
It was really
was it a big culture shock for you or what?
One more time, what's your question?
I said, was it a big cultural shock for you?
Oh yeah, that was one of my main reasons why I chose UT. It was a different environment, and I knew if I continued down the path that I was on, it was no hope. It was the same thing of repetition that I've seen over and over again growing up over there. So I was just like, I have to be someone that can show the youth that there's a different way out. You don't only have to be able to play sports. You don't have to be able to rap. You don't have to dribble the ball. There's plenty of other avenues that you can.
Hey man, that's music to my ears, man. That's what we preach over here at GHH, man. Just showing the different narratives, man. A lot of times in our neighborhoods that we were born and raised in, or we grew up in, you know, Jay-Z had the line, all those blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even. And I think a lot of us, we internalize that thinking that's the only way to make it out is through sports and entertainment. So what got you into investing?
Growing up over there, I had a lot of teammates, like I was saying, they were selling drugs, and you know, you sell drugs, you make money. That's what they needed. And they would come to school with an abundance of it. I'm talking about $100,000 at 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just like, shoot, I'm impressed. I've never seen 1,000. Shoot, I get $100. I'm feeling like it's a good month.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so if everybody around here has all of this money, what are we missing? Like, why is everything still so bad? But then I started to learn about, oh, well, if you spend more than this, you'll get flagged, or you don't have any reported income, so you can't truly spend this on an investment because it's not real capital, things like that. And I just figured there has to be a better way. We have what we need, so how do we apply it? So after, I would say about 2 or 3 years of me searching out guys that can help lead me in the right direction, I ended up getting a scholarship through Albany, crazy enough. And the vice president was, not the vice president, the sponsor of the scholarship was the vice president of HEB. So he was like, I see a lot in you. You're just like a lot of the other students that I've mentored. I love what you're doing, yada, yada. He was like, so I have one of my guys that he exactly embodies everything that you are and were. And I took him under my wing and made him like one of my children, one of my sons. I paid for his new finance, his new practice, and now he practices finance and consulting over here at INF. So after that, he put me on as an intern at his former students' newfound firm that he founded with him. So it was just a keep it going, pay it forward type of thing.
What did you major in at University of Texas?
My undergrad was management and my master's was finance. Okay,
so you knew going into UT what you were going to major in. You already knew what the path toward investing from seeing what you saw in high school.
We say that, but we know what happens when the process starts and how life is, adjust on the fly. I was one of them that had to immediately adjust, because when you play football, you don't sign up for anything until signing day. That's not till February. Everybody's already turned in what they need for school back in October. So couldn't get into business school. It was just thing after thing after thing. I was like, man, I don't like this. I don't want to be an adult anymore. I don't want to come back. Because at this point, I was like, I did everything I was supposed to. I'm valedictorian or about to be. And then my grades started slipping senior year. You know how that goes. I'm class president at Stuco. I'm at all these things. 1600 SAT, 4.0 GPA.
So hold on. We're not just going to let you just get away with just saying that. So 4.0 GPA?
Yeah, well, until senior year hit. So,
well, 1600 on the SAT? Yeah. That's a perfect, right? Isn't that a perfect?
Parts.
You said what?
That's not 2 parts, 3 parts.
Oh, it's 3 parts. Man, I took the SAT way back, so I don't know. Now, I don't know what the highest score, but I mean, 1600 was considered damn near perfect back, during my time of taking the SAT, man. So you had the grade. So you walked this, it seems to me like you walked this fine line, this balance. You had homeboys in the street doing what they was doing, making all of this money. Now you could have easily saw what they were doing and went down that path to make money. But then you had this other side where you were an actual academic student. You're in school, you're getting the grades, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. You started playing sports. Is that correct?
Well,
And you
it
may
was also a lot of it. Like the saying is true. It takes a community to raise a child, or it takes a village to raise a child.
Mhm.
The people around me wouldn't allow me to do those things. Yeah, they're my homeboys. Yeah, they're my brothers. But nah, Jeff, you too fast. You too good at sports, bro. Get out of here. You're not going
You
with us.
know, that's an interesting conversation because I was talking to somebody the other day and we were saying what we call OGs, you know, can't say, oh, that's my OG, that's my written, you know, it can stand for different things, but a lot of times we say that's the elder, the older person, like the big bro, that's like the big brother figure, the mentor type figure. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So
because the older generation was kind of, I applaud, let me just start by saying I applaud the government. The scheme that they have put into place started in the 70s. It incarcerated black man, split the family, and make them repeat the cycle over and over again. They did it beautifully.
The plan is working, is what you're saying.
100% working. They set us up and we fell for it.
So
our ways out of it.
So what I was going to say is to hear you say that you had older mentors that saw that you had a skill, they saw that you had a talent, and they kept you away from that. It seems like things are starting to change, man. It used to be to where if a person was like a talented athlete or if they were talented in academics, then the older guys in the neighborhood would say, nah, man, this ain't for you. You know, they want to look out for you. And man, it seems like now there are no real OGs like that. It's almost as if they're recruiting these young cats, even if they are good in sports, even if they are good in academics. They're not telling them, "No, man, this isn't the route for you. You should go another path." So for you to have that, that's commendable. To have that village of people that recognize that, you know.
No,
so,
definitely. It was 20-year-olds walking around like they're the man. They're big time ball street man. Somebody had to step up and say something, and I'm glad somebody did.
So you're understanding this grand scheme that's going on with like you said, government at play, and understanding that some of the stuff may not be happenstance. It's strategically here. You know, these neighborhoods, what we call the food deserts. You know, the real estate that we have in some of these areas. With I know a lot of people up north, they call them slumlords. You know, people having these dilapidated houses, living off of government assistance or whatever, what have you. So did you have a conscious decision to say, hey, I'm recognizing that and I want to be part of the change?
Yes, I did. I actually have a tat right down the middle of my chest. I don't know if y'all can see it. It says Mali. But it belongs
Mali?
M-A-L-I. It's the kingdom that belongs to the richest man to ever live. He was a black man named Mansa Musa.
Yeah, Mansa Musa. Understood.
Yeah. Shared wealth, knowledge, but schools inflated the price of gold. He was so caring and giving, and really spread his wealth and knowledge and all of his resources to a culture. And I want to build something equivalent to that in our newfound age.
Now, let me ask you this. What were some of the stereotypes you had to battle against when you got to UT as a student athlete, with people not knowing your academic side going into UT, and they just see you playing football at a school like UT?
Well, I didn't really experience that problem. Pretty much everyone who knew me or read up on me saw that I was pretty academically inclined. I got into Stanford prior to football without any of their assistance. I had acceptance letters from Notre Dame, and my top schools came down to a few Ivy Leagues. So people knew I was pretty studious. I didn't really have that stereotypical stamp pinned on me to start with.
Well, that's good.
And the people around me, I could tell that their intelligence wasn't valued.
You said the people around you can tell their intelligence was not valued?
Correct. Being in class, you hear some students' comments. When you are the smarter black kid in the white class, you get deemed Mr. Token to speak up for all the black stuff. So I'm hearing their actual responses and their actual feelings. And I'm deciphering, and I'm like, wait a minute, so this is what y'all really think of us? Like, all of us is all?
Yeah, we had an episode that we touched on whether predominantly white institutions produce more radically thinking blacks than historically black colleges and universities. So the dialogue, I want to say debate, the dialogue in the conversation was does the PWIs or the predominantly white institutions produce more radically thinking? And when we say radical, we're meaning more from a political aspect, more revolutionary thinking Blacks than HBCUs. A lot of times with some of the historically Black colleges and universities, it's assumed that, okay, I go to a school that's predominantly Black. I'm just trained to go out and get a job. So I'm gonna go to a Black school. And then when I graduate, I'm not gonna quote unquote buck the system. I'm gonna abide by the system, give me a good job. Whereas some Blacks that come from a predominantly white institution may be a little more radical when they get out in the quote unquote free world after college.
I think that's a little bit too unilateral of a statement. I came in like that. I came in knowing you're the oppressor and I'm the victim here. Well, that mindset. I came in knowing.
Well, you understood systematic oppressions, systematic racism. You already understood that from a young age going into that university that you went to. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct. So I don't feel like if I would have went to HBCU, I would come out any different. I think that being inclined to be able to see these people's true opinion in them in their everyday scenarios and how they act and react to just my skin tone, it may have added some more fuel to the fire. But I don't think just saying that being at that school made me, I am who I am.
Yeah, and not necessarily you personally, but just sometimes that was just one of the ideologies that was thrown out there. That okay, and there's no way to quantify that, to say okay, how do you measure the amount of Black people that went to a predominantly white institution that came out more radicalized or more politically astute before they came in, as opposed to Blacks that went to historically Black colleges and universities? Because at one point, that's all you had to attend was an HBCU, especially down south. You couldn't go to a UT, you couldn't go to an A&M. You were not allowed to go there. And then things started to open up, and after desegregation, Brown versus Board of Education, all these things started to happen. Now Blacks are able to go to what they call these Power 5 schools and build up these athletic programs. So when people talk about HBCUs now and they make a big deal about students going to HBCUs, I tell them, historically, we didn't have a choice. Those programs were the power programs during that time before integration. During segregation, those were the top schools to play football at. They dominated,
If I could go back and do it all over again, I'd go to Xavier.
Oh yeah.
Xavier.
So if you can do it all over again, you wouldn't go to UT.
Well, I mean, Xavier doesn't have a football team, so it's kind of that problem. But
yeah, if Xavier had a football program,
sports, if I could just pick a university where I felt at home, Xavier, going to New Orleans.
Okay. Okay, understood. Shout out to the Now let's get into the importance of Black people, man, and talking about investing. I want you to share some of your knowledge and some of your wisdom in investing, especially during this time of a global pandemic that we're living in. With people, we got cryptocurrency, we have real estate, and people use words like generational wealth, and we talk that talk. But just from your opinion, just give me some importance on Black people and investing and looking toward our future, and give us some information on some investments.
So one of our many barriers to entry, the biggest one, my coach in college used to always talk about fires. You got 7 fires outside your house. Which one do you put out? The one that's closest. And the one that hits home the most, that most of us seem to experience the same problem with, is operating capital, or just startup funding, seed funding, anything of that nature. And the way to combat that, well, at least from my knowledge and what I've learned thus far, is through knowledge. So I went to school with the sole purpose of gaining all the knowledge I could to return it back to my environment.
Understand, to go and give back, learn what you need to learn and give back. So can you share some of those jewels that you learned?
Man, it is such an abundance of knowledge, and we need you to specify a little bit more. Everything.
Okay, well, let's start with
we can start
when we talk about investing, would you say real estate? Because I know we have stock, but then we also have real estate. And a lot of people say land is a prime investment. And we hear words like gentrification in certain Black neighborhoods here in Houston. So I'm talking about real estate and Black people owning land and having ownership.
So specifically speaking about real estate, there's so many avenues in there that could create capital without you starting with anything. It's one of the easiest markets to get into since our barrier is our capital. All you have to do is be able to talk to the right people that own the asset, don't even know they own it, don't want anything to do with it. Finding distressed properties, that's number one place to start if you have no capital. This helps you build
Okay.
which we were
All
talking
right,
about.
let's talk that. Distressed properties. A dilapidated home. Is that what we're talking about? Someone that's behind on their taxes. You know, when we say distressed properties.
That list is also extensive. You could have people with liens on a property. You could have a relative die and nobody wants to take care of the property, and you have 7 different liens, 7 different people that have a claim and a stake on that property, and none of them deal with it. So you offer them a lump sum to be done with it. You could have people behind on their taxes. You could have foreclosed homes. You could have people that have 2 mortgages now out of something arising that they both have to take care of, and they don't want one of them. There's plenty of ways that people get distressed under their home. It'd be someone that's eager to sell, someone that needs to move, anyone who needs out of that mortgage.
Okay, what's your advice on how to find out?
Hit the pavement. That's the strategy. You know more people than you know. There's 10 people in between you knowing everybody in the world. So, well, it's a little bit bigger now because the world's getting bigger. But
go ahead.
Contact who you know first. Contact mom and dad. Contact your inner circle, your friends, their parents. Even if you can call your best friend today, have him call his dad. His dad will say, yeah, I don't know anybody, but I'll be on the lookout. He go to work over here. One of his buddies talking about his cousin whose parents just died or whatever, and they have a home. Now all of a sudden you're in your first deal just because you asked your friend about it. If you never open your mouth to your friend, there's no way you can find these properties.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is the Airbnb industry is entering the real estate industry, and man, from what I understand, man, you can make a lot of money just having investment properties just as an Airbnb.
Correct, but you have to do it appropriately. Airbnb has algorithms set up for their current users, not necessarily for new people coming into their platform. That's why I am JD Booking. That's why I do the concierge company, so I can be the platform of Airbnb. And I'm the final so I got tongues out there. I'm the final one determining what properties are pushed, when, where, why, how.
Okay, so you can be that person that can find that. Okay, got you. And we'll put the information out. So whatever information that you want to tell the people toward the end, we'll definitely give all of the plugs, all of the contacts where people can reach you. So we got real estate as a form of investing. Stock market. I know for a lot of people, especially a lot of Black people, you know, it's something that we are still learning, stock market wise. The easiest way that I learned about investing in stock is first look at what's around your home, look at what you wear, and if you like Nike, you wear Nikes all the time, invest in that stock because you're putting that money back into it. So you want to talk about that? Any stock investments?
So that's a simple output method for it, but really your best bet is to watch the news. The news will tell you everything you need to know. Granted, a lot of people have different trading techniques, but the news outlets will tell you what's about to drop and what's about to rise. Facebook comes out with something new for Meta, expect a rise from them in the morning. Tesla has a rocket ship blow up, expect a drop from them in the morning. The news, news will tell you a lot more about what you need to know than what you're actually purchasing.
Now, you're saying the news, are you talking about watching CNN, watching the Dow? I mean, watching the local news?
Really, the thing that I use most for quickest access is just my initial research, because you know people go crazy when you say something. Twitter. Twitter will tell you what's trending, anything. Now, once you get that article off Twitter, then you go do extensive research. Don't just rely on
then you got to do your own research. Find out from Twitter. So Twitter is a good source to start you on.
I was like, to start as a filtering method, I would say. But there are plenty of other websites that do it strictly for just investing.
Got it. Is there anything else in the crypto? That's something I'm not as familiar with. This crypto market, Bitcoin. I know we're about to enter into this whole metaverse, and I'm guessing this metaverse is going to be this alternate reality where we'll be spending cryptocurrency and buying meta property and meta houses. I mean, You wanna touch on that?
So that was a bit before or a bit after my time in
Mhm.
grad school. So we didn't have any crypto classes or anything about it. We didn't even know it existed, really. We knew there was a few little Bitcoins out there. We didn't know it was going to turn into this. But I will say one thing about it. Everything that goes up must come down. So don't buy while it's on its surge. Wait until it has its setback, it regresses a little bit, then you try to find the right one to get into.
Yeah, that's what I've heard when it comes to investing. Get it damn near when it's at its worst or at its lowest. That's the best time to get it, not when it's at its best.
You're doing your research and you feel like it's a viable product, want it to be used for years and years in the future. This is for long-term holds, so not short-term like I was doing. If you feel it's viable, if you feel that the whole world will be using crypto, that's your assessment after you're doing your research and reading all of your information. If you feel like crypto is going to be around for a while, then that's something you might want to look into getting into.
What year did you graduate from UT?
19 and 20.
Okay, so it's pretty recent, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty recent. So the reason why I asked that is because I'm looking at how the world is changing, how technology is changing, how investments are changing. And when you say, checking the news or checking Twitter, now we are communicating on a Zoom meeting. Our telephones have all of the information. We can find real estate. A lot of these investment techniques that we're talking about, it's right in the palm of our hand. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you're walking around with the smart computer every day. And my mom used to get on us all the time. You got the answer in your phone in your hand, just use it. Look it up. Stop asking me everything.
Yeah, and
it's in the palm of your hand. YouTube University is a real thing.
And understanding that, and like you said, sometimes you got to delve through some of the weeds to get to the buried treasures. Because nowadays everyone can set up something to give advice. So you got to kind of dig through the weeds to filter through a lot of things to get to what you need. So man, it's just an interesting conversation to have with a guy that put academics first before athletics. Because one thing that we have conversations about is what's presented to the Black community. A lot of times when people want to quote unquote pander to the Black community, the only thing they throw at us is entertainers and athletes. They'll go and they'll talk to LeBron James, or they'll talk to Cardi B, or they'll talk to someone like that, as opposed to having a conversation with someone who could expand past the boundaries. It's no knock on them, but they are entertainers. They don't represent the totality of Black people. And Black people are we're not monolithic. We're not just one way. We're not just all athletes. We're not just all rappers, contrary to what TV may try to present to the rest of the world. So to have a conversation with someone that understood that, okay, athletics is something that I excel in, but I'm also going here to get a degree to learn about investing and have a vision for, and correct me if I'm wrong, going back to help the community that you came from.
Yeah, so eventually I want to build a school behind it where you can get an actual degree in something that'll help you in life. Because I can't tell you how many times I've used stats since I graduated high school, algebra, any of my science classes. I hated science, so I knew I wasn't doing science when I left. Yeah. But I do need to know how to balance the checkbook. I do need to know how to check my banking, pay my bills, check my credit.
Life skills, man. Life credit, skills. Yeah.
Things we thought that they refused to teach us. Why? I don't know. I guess
college is a business as well. So you understand that it is a business. So we're not going to get those life skills. They'll teach you a lot of theory, but not a lot of practical application. Absolutely. So I think that's where things need to change, and where we need to start learning the practical application, especially with reaching kids in this up and coming generation. Man, they're a go get it because they have the technological know-how that maybe we didn't have in the generation before us didn't have. Now, I mean, there are kids that are growing up, all they know is a cell phone. That's all they know is a smartphone. They don't know a landline. That's foreign to them. All they're gonna know is YouTube. They're not gonna know anything else. They're gonna know this technological era that they've grown up in, that they're living in. So things are gonna have to change in these educational institutions, whether it be high schools or whether it be college. And, being at the forefront of that and understanding that we do need those curriculums to change and instituting a school. Now it may have to be like a charter school or an independent school. So you can control the curriculum and what should be taught to young Black men and women. Is that one of the goals that you have set out?
Absolutely. I have my location set out and everything. Well, if we get that deep, I mean, it's where I saw my first person get murdered. So it's across the street from there. I figured what better place to start building than right there where my life changed and turned around.
So seeing that, still having that vision in the back of your mind, you saw that incident happen and said, okay, I can come back and build an institution where I saw some traumatic.
Wrong, yeah. I can right or wrong.
So let me ask you this, man. You said you already went into school having this mentality. Did you start reading books? Were your parents, were they instilling certain things toward a cultural awareness for you in terms of understanding? Like if you talk about Mansa Musa, understanding now we can delve into some history. Like, were you in high school reading certain books? Was it a particular teacher that what got you to this point to where you already had some knowledge of self before you went to UT?
Man, I was in second grade and learned about slavery. That was all it took. Changed everything.
Second grade and learned about slavery. So
Yeah,
what the second grade teacher was just talking about Blacks were enslaved. They didn't,
I started showing the story, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm an energy guy, and I have been since then. I just didn't know it then. So I was reading between the lines and feeling the energy from the teacher, feeling the energy of the book and what it was trying to say. And it didn't add up to me. So I was just doing more research, did a few projects on it. And by the time I came away from it, I came away kind of upset. And I didn't understand why then. But as I got older, I started having more and more reasons to be upset. And those reasons led me down the path that I eventually wanted to take.
So it started with anger from understanding the past of the history of Black people being presented as slaves or being held in slavery, and not really going all the way back. See, a lot of times when they teach it to us in school, they're going to start with slavery. And it's up to us to take those deep dives and go further and further back to understand how we got to that point. Right. And that anger produced something in you to want to do more. Sometimes that anger produces an inferiority complex, because Black kids sit in school and all they teach you is, okay, you were enslaved. And it creates this inferiority complex. A lot of times you don't see yourself as anything else other than a person that was held in bondage without having that deep dive in history to understand, okay, how did it get to this point? Who the true enemies are in this game of life. And Blacks being here in America, whether we got dropped off in Texas and grew up on the north side or the south side or wherever, understanding that we have a deep, rich cultural history that extends outside of just, you guys were enslaved. Where when they teach the other history, there's a point of pride that comes with it.
Yeah, they're the victors. They built everything.
And we have to unlearn a lot of the stuff, man. We have to unlearn a lot of the stuff that they taught us. That's part of one of the first things in getting knowledge of self or growth is unlearning a lot of the things that you were taught because it came from someone else. We've had. Go ahead.
I think that ties back into even going to UT about your question of coming out radicalized or not. When you experience it and when you learn it and when you're able to comprehend it, you grow from it. If you don't have those experiences and you don't have those certain scenarios that you're placed in, you can't necessarily grow. I'm not saying you don't grow at HBCU, but when you have white kids in class that are redo your whole part on a project just because, without even reading it, just because they don't think you have the intellectual capacity to be here, that just does something to you. And I'm competitive, so I like proving people wrong. So when that happens to me, I think, okay, well, all of us, we about to show you, like, we can really do this. I don't know why you just thought we were just admitted to run around on the field.
Yeah, because a lot of times I think what happens, I had a friend of mine that went to an Ivy League school for track. And the stereotype was that, most of the Black people there were on athletic scholarships. So when she met a Black person, she said, hey, what? So as the story goes, when the white people would come up to her, the first thing they would say, what sport do you play?
Man, I'm telling people I don't.
So she internalized it to where when she saw Black people as a Black person, she would meet a new Black person on campus and say, what sport do you play? And until she met someone that said, I don't play any sport. So then, internalizing that, did you go through certain or similar experiences like that?
Man, just people. So we had a little gathering room downstairs that people could rent out. We would have conventions down there all the time. You know us. You see 2-3 big Black kids walking through. Hey, are you guys football players? No, I'm a math major. I got tired of it. Just this constant stereotypical question. Hey, do you play sports? What sports do you play? How do you like the new coach? Oh, I play tennis. I used to throw my,
yeah.
I don't know anything. And
Yeah.
our way of combating it, that was our way of rebelling and finally having our own voice heard, because your voice isn't heard in colleges. Do and say what they say do.
Do you think that there's a newfound sense of awareness for athletes that maybe didn't exist some years ago because of the times that we're living in?
Yeah,
you see athletes speaking out a little more than usual. I mean, I came up in the Michael Jordan era, and those guys, they shied away from politics. They didn't really say a whole lot. Of course, you had guys like Craig Hodges, but then he would get ostracized, or they would, basically censor him, or he couldn't get a job in the NBA. Now there are more and more guys that are starting to speak out.
So thanks to Kaepernick, technology has allowed us to control our own narrative. If a player has a disagreement with the coach, you don't have to rely on a biased media source to tell your side of the story. You can get on social media and tell your narrative. That gives you a lot more power than just sitting behind what the people are saying to the public. There's more ways to express and more ways to diversify and get your story out the way that you want it to be told. You don't have to fake it anymore. So the athletes have more power now, especially being paid now too. There's not much more that they can tell them. You can go wherever you want now with the portal. You can say whatever you want with social media. You get paid. So some of these players got more money than their coaches. So you can spread and sit away for a minute if they want to try to blackball you, but you have the power now.
Yeah, and I like the fact that there are more platforms where athletes can start to tell their stories. Like, you got the podcast like the I Am Athlete, and even the guys like the All the Smoke, even guys like Kwame Brown. These athletes are coming out now, and they are redefining the nature of what an athlete is supposed to be. And so now they can tell their stories. Now they can share those experiences and uncensored. They don't have to worry about someone stopping their financial flow. Because back in the day, if a Craig Hodges spoke up, then that he could take a big financial loss. There's no endorsement deal for him. Now,
that's what they wanted.
Yeah, now guys could get, the guys that stood up at the Olympics, John Carlos and Tommy Smith, they took a big risk, and that became, those brothers throwing up the black fist at that 1968 Olympics. They took a big risk that changed their lives, and not necessarily, in a good way financially. Now they became cultural icons for that. But during that time, there was no Nike deal. There was no Reebok. There was no Adidas deal that guys could get. So times are changing, and it's making it easier, I think, for a lot of the athletes to come out and speak up, because nobody wants to, in certain circumstances, no one wants to look like they're the racist corporation. Even though, we can take a whole another deep dive into what goes on in some of these other countries to make these products. But nowadays, there's not as much risk with speaking out, but also they have the platforms to speak out and tell it from their side and not relying on some biased press. It's not just relying on the newspaper. Now, the newspaper can write something, and an athlete can come out on Twitter, on social media, and dispel that and put it out.
Because we used to have a whole, they still do have a whole media department where as soon as you put something out, if it was against the narrative of the team or however they didn't like it, you would get subpoenaed, well, not subpoenaed, operation is subpoenaed, brought before your coaches, prove your innocence, show why you had this this stuff posted. They make you take it down before you even got there. It was a whole trial and process and error of everything. Where now it says they can say what they want on their end. So you still get the freedom to say whatever you want on your end. They have no control over, well, to a certain extent, of what you can and can't say online and on the air on social media.
Yeah, and I like the fact that brothers and sisters are coming out and controlling those narratives and using their platform for good. And it's inspiring a lot of the young kids to know that there's other outlets outside of just saying, okay, be this docile athlete, don't say anything, don't talk, don't make any waves. Now they can see examples of people that can speak up, and they don't have to have that fear anymore. They can speak up, and I mean, if you're good, you're good. And then that extends past just athletics, because now, like you said, we're talking about business. Now, a lot of young kids are going to know Magic Johnson as the businessman, not Magic Johnson that won championships with the LA Lakers. You know, in the future, you know, more and more people are going to see Michael Jordan as the business guy, not Michael Jordan that won 6 championships and won slam dunk competitions. They're going to see the business side of these guys that were former athletes.
Definitely. Shaquille O'Neal is a great example of one. He's actually one of my more favorite ones right now. I've been watching Shaq for a while, just his whole Walmart line. I kind of knew that before the big story broke, but just him choosing a lesser amount of money just so he could be able to provide for the people actually in need and give back.
Yeah.
He did it fiscally responsible. He didn't go out and take all his money out. He created a product that was rapidly available and affordable to the people in that income, in that bracket.
Yeah, and Stephon Marbury did something similar to that. The basketball player that played for the New York Knicks.
Starberry.
They call him, I think, Starberry or something like that. He had some shoes. Yeah, he ended up going to play in China. Yeah, but he did something similar to that to make affordable athletic shoes for Black kids to be able to have that was competitive with, you know, a lot of the brand names. But I mean, a lot of that starts with us, you know, as Black people. You know, a lot of us have been trained to be consumers, man. First and foremost, we go out and we buy the name brand, you know, as opposed to investing. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, a lot of us, you know, we were slaves to those brands. Like we didn't really understand it. So we don't understand, you know,
somewhere
putting money to the side, because, you know, when you're young and you're an athlete, unfortunately, sometimes you bear the financial burden of your family. So people are like, oh man, you're gonna make it. You can take care of everyone, and that's unfair to a young kid. That's a teenager coming out because they get drafted. They shouldn't be the financial bearer of their family. They shouldn't bear that burden.
Not at all, but that goes back to what the government has put in place. That's what they want, because they want the cycle to repeat. They want you to spend all your money. They want you to give it all back to them, so that way you have to come looking for it again. They want to be a factor that you need.
Okay, Jeff, how do we break that cycle?
By creating our own. We can invest in each other. We can have our own angel funds. We can have our own anything that we want, real estate firms. We can create our own stuff, and we can simply cut them out.
Yeah, that's going to start with us trusting each other too. Man. A lot of times we don't trust each other, and we want to take our money to someone that doesn't look like us, because the once again, that inferiority complex of, you know, the other man's ice is colder than our ice. The other man's clothes is better than our clothes. The other man's shoes is better than our shoes. We have to trust each other.
It starts with our leadership. You have to be able to show them a track record of successful investments and what we can actually do.
Yep. So before we wrap this up, man, I want you to talk about what you have, how people can reach you, especially people that are thinking about investing, the different services that you may be able to provide.
You can check me out on Instagram. My Instagram is monitored 24/7, whether it's me or my assistant or one of my interns. Somebody's always there to be able to respond. It is J McCulloch, my last name, JMCCULLOCH 23. Hit me with any questions y'all have. I mean, on there you can see some of the concierge stuff I do. I do exotic cars, homes, yachts, mansions, condos, penthouses, private jets, you name it. Anything that is of the luxurious lifestyle that the average everyday consumer cannot afford, I provide at a discounted rate for rental. I also do personal training on there. I have consultations where if people want to talk about investments, you want to talk about something you're getting into, you want to talk about something I'm in, go ahead, hit me up. Let's get something set on the books.
So you can help with people starting up in investments. Like if some guys want to contact you and say, hey, we don't know too much about real estate, you can offer some services to help answer some of those questions.
Man, in college, I was working at a day trading firm after losing a lot of money trying to day trade and hand trade myself in an offshore account to avoid the PDT rules. So I got taken under by a computer day trading firm, Great Day Capital out in Austin. Was a realtor for a few years. I got into wholesaling, so I didn't renew my license. So I know real estate, I know stocks, I know portfolios from high school, being at a consulting firm for 4 years. So I'm pretty knowledgeable about a lot of different areas.
Yeah, hey, I might be hitting you up myself, man. I'm thinking about, expanding, man, in the real estate game and in the stock portfolio. It seems like you have a lot of good resources. You've taken it with you along the way, and you didn't forget. You had a good roots, man. Planted in some good roots. A lot of brothers like you, man, could have went the opposite way, and you acknowledged that early in this interview, man. So I want to salute you first for staying on a path and not losing sight of that, and putting your people first, man. A lot of times, we lose sight of that too. We just want, the aspirational environment that we live in. We want to leave the hood and never come back and never go back and invest.
If you do that, it just repeats itself over and over again. All the people you left there are going to be back in the same predicament that you could have helped with.
Yeah, so we want to break that cycle, man. I want to say thanks for sharing your time, man. This is Gentleman's History Hour sessions. We wanted to get this gentleman that we have, Jeff McCulloch. We wanted to get his history, and we wanted to have this session talking about the importance of investing, especially in the Black community, understanding your upbringing, understanding and breaking the stereotypes of athletes, because a lot of times there are a lot of stereotypes. So to have you here, man, and understanding that and putting your academics and everything to the table first, and putting your people first, man. I want to salute you and say thanks.
Thank you. I'm glad whoever we have listening, hope you take my words, run with them, share them with someone else. Let's build our community. And y'all go work out. Have to go work out. So everybody go work out.
Got it. This is GHH Equality. Man, Jeff McCulloch. Signing out. Y'all subscribe, hit the like button. Let's continue these conversations. Peace.
If you're watching this on YouTube, man, hey, y'all, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. This is Gentleman's History Hour.